Good morning, Chicago. You're listening to Inspirational Perspective. I'm your host, Linal Harris, your very own life coach right here on WBON 1690 AM, the talk of Chicago. Inspirational Perspective on your radio is all about murdering mediocrity and living the best life possible. So as I ask you every Sunday morning, are you living the best life possible? And this is the place to be to explore that possibility. Well, good Sunday morning, everyone. Another beautiful summer Sunday, July 15th, 7:11 a.m. this morning. If you're up, then you're blessed. If you can take a breath, then you're blessed. If you can bend down and touch your toes, then you are blessed. And I am blessed because I have a gorgeous, beautiful, wonderful co-host today. One of my favorite women in the world, outside of my mama. I only got two favorites.
Oh, good, because I was going to say.
My mama and my wife. My wife is with us in the studio this morning. And good morning, love.
Good morning. Good morning, Chicago.
So her name is actually Pam, so that everyone knows your name. So Pam Redwood Harris, is in the studio with me this morning. She'll be co-hosting today. So I'm excited. This should be a very interesting show. And if you know my wife, then you know why I say interesting. Because she's a little unpredictable, but fun nonetheless. So I'm excited to have her in the studio this morning. So good morning. And part of what I want to do, you guys listen to me every Sunday. You tune in, you provide your support. And a great deal of who I am in terms of the roles that I play in my life are husband and father. And so to get to know me is really to know the people that I interact with on a regular basis and who are huge parts of my life. And my wife is definitely a huge part of my life. So I'm excited to have you here.
Yeah, I'm excited to be here. And you know what? This is cool because I'm typically not up this early on a Sunday. But because you invited me on, I thought, why not? So shout out to my sister Vivian for spending the night and watching the baby this morning.
Yeah. So this is something I've been trying to get to happen for quite some time. Mm-hmm. I've been asking my wife since I've been on Sunday mornings to come in with me on a Sunday morning and co-host the show. And of course, because we have the little one, it makes it a little difficult. So thank you, Vivian, for stepping up and watching our little guy legend. But I wanted to have her on the show for a lot of reasons. One, because I like her. And I like having her around. But two, because my wife is also quite the businesswoman and entrepreneur. She is the president and co-founder of SMG Speakers, and also the developer and founder of I Develop Speakers. And I'm not going to go through her whole bio because part of what I want her to do is share herself with you all and for you all to get to know her better and who she is in the world. But who she is to me is ultimately wife and mom. And I definitely thought by getting to know her, you guys will get to know me. Now, I'm going to ask her a series of questions that you all probably can predict, especially if you listen to the show on a regular basis. Like, what's her purpose?
Oh, no.
She's like, don't ask me that question.
Please.
But like, what's her purpose? And then a lot of people don't know that my wife is a coach. A lot of people don't know that because most of what, and you can share this, Pam. I mean, most of what you do is you coach speakers.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
But she also went through ontological coach training, the very same training that I went through.
Yeah.
Go ahead, tell them.
Yeah, basically, I love the fact that I went through that ontological coach training program because it allowed me to relate to my clients in such a way that empowers them, because so many people have fears around speaking. They have all this negative chatter and different stuff going on, whatever their case may be. And it's an opportunity for me to dig deeper and help them to relate to themselves in a way that allows them to speak and to be a powerful speaker and to create value in the audiences.
Cool. Back to me?
Back to you.
Okay. This is going to be fun because my wife's going to warm up, y'all. And eventually you're going to hear a whole lot from her. She watches the show on Facebook Live religiously.
I am. I'm probably your biggest fan.
Yeah, you are my biggest fan.
I'm your biggest
I love
supporter.
that. I love that. And so let me ask you this. So I'm on Sunday mornings now. You listen to every show. Mm-hmm. Which of the series have been your favorite?
Wow.
So I started off the year before anyone on Sundays really knew me. I mean, I had the Saturday following, but I started off the year with the top 10 observations of 2017. Then we went from there. We had one of my favorite shows was having Celine and Dometi Pongo in the studio.
Yeah, that was a good show.
To talk about Martin Luther King and Celine. I mean, he brought so much, but Dometi brought a lot. Then we had the Identity series. We went through. Well, actually, before that, we did the 4 pillars for the Murder Mediocrity Summit, where we had Love McPherson come in and talk about love and relationships. Matt Sapala come in and talk about work and money. So we've had quite a few different shows. Then we had the Identity series, and then just recently, How to Go to the Next Level. Which of those are your favorite?
I would have to say How to Go to the Next Level. And the reason why is because I think people are in a place in their lives right now where they're trying to figure out what's the next power move for them. They want to know, how do I get to the next level in my life? What are the tips? What are those, what's the secret recipe, right? And so for me, that's my favorite because I love inspiring and helping people connect the dots.
Got it.
Yeah.
Got it. So How to Go to the Next Level. And then in the car, you and I, as we were riding over, you were saying something that I thought was fairly profound.
Right. I wish you would have gave me a list of questions before we got on the show, but
it
didn't work like that today. So we're going to flow. We're going to do this thing.
Yeah. So in the car, on the way up to the studio, one of the things that you shared that I thought was really profound is that often people, they want to go to the next level. So and what you struggle with in your career. Mm-hmm. So as a speaker coach, one of the things you were sharing in the car, and I don't want to get too far ahead of you, but you were sharing in the car is that you struggled with whether or not you were bringing people value as a speaker coach.
Yeah.
You want to talk a little bit more about that?
Sure, we can talk about it. So, I started my company when I was like 24. Mm-hmm. And for me, because I started so young, there was this hesitation around being a young entrepreneur. I felt like you had to be older to be successful. And so because I didn't see too many individuals that did what I did, and for those of you that don't know, I am the co-founder and the president of SMG Speakers Bureau. We represent nationally recognized speakers and subject matter experts. So we basically, for those of you that are not familiar with bureaus, we place them for speaking opportunities, for national conferences, for universities, for corporations, for training events. So typically individuals that are looking for speakers call our office to find these subject matter experts, these national brands to come out and speak for them. And so, I started in this industry very young and I had access to these national brands, and it seemed a little bit like, wow, I'm doing this. When people meet me, they're like, you're doing this, you're the owner of this company. And I guess it began to plant a seed in me of like, well, maybe I shouldn't tell people that I'm the owner of this company. So, when it came to the time for me people would reach out to say, hey, could you coach me for speaking? And I would coach them, and these individuals would not do the work. They would not do the work. And I'm like, are you freaking kidding me, right? Can you say freaking on the air?
You can say it.
Okay, as long as I don't say the other F, right?
Okay,
I won't say it. It's Sunday, don't worry.
You shouldn't say it at all.
I want to say it, sweetie. So, anywho, we would sit down, we would have these powerful coaching sessions, and I would give them like the next steps to take over, their speaking career and what to do. And literally these people would not do the work. So a part of me was so attached to results that I was so attached to results that I could not be with the fact that people were not doing the work. So for a while I stopped coaching individuals and teaching them how to launch their speaking careers because I wanted to see results, and people were meeting with me but not doing the work.
Got it.
But you know what, Linal? It makes sense, right? Because when you go to conferences and you're all inspired at this conference, you leave about it there, and you're like, I'm going to take action on my life. And then you know what? Work happens. Family happens. All these things begin to come into play.
Well, distraction. I mean, work and family are not distractions.
Well, they kind of are. If you
allow them to be.
Right. Most people don't know how to say no. You know, they don't know how to say
so
no.
that becomes not saying no is the distraction.
Yeah.
Right.
Like you have to, as women, especially women, and as a new mom, it's tough to say no, right?
Right.
Because you want to spend time with your family. So pretty much that's really, when you leave those conferences, you're kind of like empowered, but then you're not prepared you don't put support structures in place to help you create what you wanted at that conference.
Right.
Or in those coaching sessions, right?
So what would be your advice to people who listen to this show on a regular basis, right? Because I get that. I believe, you can correct me if I'm wrong, you can call in and tell me I'm wrong, 773-591-1690, but I believe most people listen to this show because they want to improve some area of their life, right? That's my purpose, to help myself and others live the best life possible. And so I come on the air 7 o'clock to 9 o'clock every Sunday morning, and we talk about how to live the best life. From the phone calls to the topics to the guests I have come on the show. That really is the aim, for people to take away tangible nuggets that they can then put into their lives, right? And when I say that, I realize that there is going to be a lot of resistance to that, right? Because we have habits. But take these tangible nuggets, place them into your lives to go to the next level, right? And what I hear you saying is that one of the most discouraging parts about developing speakers or people who wanted to go to the next level was giving them these nuggets that they never really implemented.
See, Linal, I believe that when you create something new, you have to let go of something old. You got to create the space for that newness in your life, right?
True.
Otherwise, you have competing commitments that will not allow you to create what you want to create. And so people don't anticipate, okay, I'm meeting with her. It's going to take work for you to be a speaker. You just don't get up on the stage and people going to say, come on my stage and speak and you inspire my audience. No, it takes work.
A lot of work.
Right? And people don't want to put the work in. But if you do, it pays off. I've made millions of dollars for speakers.
Got it. As a matter of fact, you have a figure. I mean, you've booked over what, $5 million worth of speakers?
Yeah, well over $5 million of speaking engagements. Yes.
In your career,
yeah.
Awesome. So, all right, I'd love to hear someone else's perspective on this. So, give us a phone call, 773-591-1690. There was something else you shared in terms of the struggle of being a young entrepreneur when we were headed into the studio this morning, and a breakthrough that you had in terms of it all being okay. Are you willing to share a little bit of that? And one of the things you were sharing with me is this idea of, like I'm a young entrepreneur. When you started, you were 24 years old. When we met, you were 28. So you had been in business, 4 years?
Yeah.
4 years.
Really?
Yeah, you were 28 years old. Yeah, it's been that long.
I was in my 20s?
Yeah.
Oh, Lord. Life is happening.
You were 28 years old when we met.
My goodness.
Yeah, because I'm in my 40s, and I wasn't in my 40s then. Yeah, I was in my 30s. But you said the breakthrough for you was realizing that other millennials just like you were making global impacts. Talk a little bit more about that, because I'm sure there's a young entrepreneur listening or who will listen or watch the show on Facebook Live. By the way, we're streaming live on Facebook Live.
Yeah, join us on Facebook. Show me some love, guys. This is my first time co-hosting, so I need to see some hearts.
On a Sunday morning.
On a Sunday morning,
right. You've co-hosted before. So tell me a little bit about that breakthrough, because I'm sure there's young people. Emmanuel's in the studio this morning as well.
Yeah.
And he's a young entrepreneur. And I'm sure you have some of the same struggles, right? It's like, I'm young, will people take me seriously? So when did you have your breakthrough?
Well, I don't remember the exact conference, but I was sitting in a conference and this speaker was talking about how he was young and how he created so much in his life. And then he began to give examples of other individuals that started and have impact our world, such as Facebook and Twitter and the founders of Instagram and all these. I said, oh my God, like, I'm one of these people. Like, this is kind of cool. Like, young people, millennials are at the forefront of what we're doing. And it just completely hit me at that moment, like, you got this. And so for a long time, guys, I did not even put my bio on the website. I never wanted people to know that I was the face behind so many powerful people, because it was hard for me to be with. Because I didn't see anyone else that was like me in their 20s doing what I was doing. So I was like the man behind the curtain, like moving everything around. You know what I mean?
Right.
So.
And how you told me is you hid behind the brand. So you had this brand, you know, Signature Media Group Speakers Bureau. You got a logo. And so you were able to kind of hide behind the brand as a young entrepreneur, but people didn't really know that it was you who was the president, the co-founder, and really the secret sauce behind the success of the organization.
Yeah, definitely. I remember too when we first started, my sister and I, we started the company. I remember, because we started small, that I didn't tell people too, because if there was an issue, then I would be like, I would be the assistant, I would be the president, I would be like the, I'm like, hold on, let me get the president for you, 1 second. Hello, how can I help you?
I told y'all she crazy. Is she warming up?
Listen, I intentionally did not have a coffee this morning because I did not want to hear you say Pam. Like, really?
So my wife, so a little bit about Pam and I and how we're different. When I wake up in the morning, I'm more stoic, right? I'm quiet. I'm typically very thoughtful, and she is bouncing off the walls. She's like, "Good morning, baby." I mean, she will dance, she will sing. I mean, it's just like, where do you get this energy? We went to bed at the same time last night, right? But she's just like, when she wakes up, it's like, she's full of life. And then I kind of go into the day, and, you know, then I start to get more vibrant as the day goes on. But I kind of got to get a running start. Pam she just jumps out the bed and it's like, boom. So I knew it was going to happen eventually.
Listen, immediately when God gave me that air in my body, I'm like, let's get it this morning. I'm ready. I didn't have a coffee though, y'all. I didn't have a coffee.
She didn't have a coffee.
I did not want to do that to y'all this morning. Y'all will be up for real messing with me. So.
All right. So we got a phone call. It's actually Tommy. Tommy, good morning, brother. How are you? Good morning.
Good morning, man. What's going on, you all? Best program on the radio, of course, right? I was just telling my brother, you know, when you listen to your program, man, you got to improve. It's a wave about it. It's just you want to do better than what you were. But now check this out, y'all. Y'all talking about something serious about this. Like he was talking about the people that want to do the work, right? Why is it people think that success comes without any sort of work? But now check this out. This is what I find. First of all, if you're scared to fail, you ain't going to be successful.
Amen to that.
Because how many times are you going to make them fail in that situation before you see some success? How many times?
A lot.
But every time, you keep rising because you overcome the situation that was holding you back.
Yeah, that's good.
So when you get through, you're so masterful, just like she was. You turn around and you start being a speaker or something. Now you bringing in other speakers because you know the dynamics. But look at what it took. Did that happen overnight? No. How many years?
Yeah, a long time. Yeah, you're right.
How long you been in business, Pam?
I mean, how much work?
Over a decade. I've been in business for over a decade.
Over a decade.
How much work?
A lot of work, a lot of research, a lot
I
of
mean, constantly. I mean, just every day a little bit of something. Pulling yourself away from stuff, friends saying, hey, let's go do this. You got to skip them. Because you got to do what you got to do. You're on a mission.
That's right.
There's so many other people depending on you when you get there. You'd be surprised, man.
Yeah, that's true.
All those people are depending on you to do, to have done all them things and laid the groundwork.
Right.
So you can give all these free. I give away so much free information. It scares me, y'all. I think I give away 99% of everything I know for free, and everybody look at me like, you can do this and you can do that. I say that's free advice, y'all.
Yeah, well, you know what, Tommy? That's the key. That's the ingredient to success. I firmly believe that is when you give away lots of knowledge, and the people who will value it will come after you, and the people who don't value it, they're gonna consume it, but they're not gonna use it, right? Let me give
y'all this last one. This is so funny. This is real though. These people think it's about the money, right? But they're all wrong. You can't even go at it that way. the people are more important than whatever you got.
Mm.
I had two friends that made a lot of money, and both of them committed suicide, y'all.
Man.
Just because they wasn't in touch with people. I could have maybe prevented one friend from that happening to him.
Right, right.
But he had gotten so far up, he had lost touch with just common people that he knew.
Wow.
He got in trouble, he got scared, he didn't know what to do. If he
Killed
had been around me, I would have said, hey man, remember when we first started?
Right.
I used to be this and that. He would have went on and weathered that storm and came out of it on top. He got so scared thinking there was no way around it.
Right. Right.
So don't let your career rule your life. You all are so happy because you've incorporated all those things you want to do in life.
Mm-hmm.
And she mentioned vision. Part of your vision that you had going for you that created the first thing. Because remember, when you're doing the new thing, it ain't never been done before.
That's right.
You're the first one doing it, and you cutting the road and deciding how it's gonna go.
Trailblazer.
Are you scared?
Yeah.
Or are you ready to be a trailblazer? Are you scared to have people telling you you can't do it? Because they're gonna tell you that.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
You might be the only one that even believes in it, but you better step out there because there's some other people that'll help you get along if you can step out.
Truth.
But you got to do it. Hey, I appreciate y'all, man. It's like I said, it's just too enlightening, everyone, and I listen. But it's just too awesome, man. I mean, you know that. You
appreciate that, Tommy.
You people better be tuning in so they can get ahead in life. It's too easy, y'all. I mean, it's work.
Yeah, it is work.
Yeah, but it's work. But look at what you got. You got the whole thing. You ain't even just working to be working. You working because you enjoy what you do now.
Yeah. Well, that's what I call purpose. Thanks for the phone call, Tommy.
Appreciate y'all.
Yep.
Thanks, Tommy.
Yep. That's what I call purpose. When you're living your life aligned with your purpose, then you find yourself also doing work that you're passionate about, doing work that you're talented at, positioning yourself towards your strengths, and paying attention to the roles that matter the most. I mean, that's what I always say. So, and you're lucky in that way because you're really good at what you do. I mean,
Thank you.
And she's passionate about it.
I know, because I used to.
She's
you
passionate
used to
about
call
it.
me after the shows.
I did. So when I came on in 2013, so February. I mean, I remember the date. February 2013. The end of the month was my first show ever on WBON. It was a Saturday night. I had the 10 p.m. slot, and at the time I didn't know Pam. I didn't know Pam then. I met Pam in April of the same year. And that's a whole nother story that we should share. We should share with everybody. But once we started communicating, because she wasn't easy to get into communication with, partly because she was a busy entrepreneur. Once we started communicating, we had this routine where on Saturday nights, I would do the show, and then on the way home, I would call her. And we would chat all the way home. I now live in the western suburbs, and so she would we would talk, and she would give me advice on things I could do differently in terms of my speaking on the show, right? And it was really good advice. She'd be like, "Do you know you do this? Did you know that you could pull people in better if you did that?" Right? And it was like this really good advice. And then we talked about other things, but the conversation always started with her coaching my speaking. Right, and I got really used to that. I mean, I got into this routine where I'm gonna call Pam. As soon as I got out the studio, I'm like, "Hey, what's going on?" Right, and how we end up becoming boyfriend and girlfriend because we were dating, right? We were dating at the time, and how we end up becoming boyfriend and girlfriend is one Saturday night I called and she didn't pick up.
Yep.
Right now, how long had? I mean, when was that? That was in June. It was in June because the next week I was like, "Hey."
Well, you got to finish telling the story. Don't give it away.
Yeah, okay. All right. So mind you, April, May, June. So it's about 2 months. Mm-hmm. I'm riding home every night. And every Saturday night, I will call Pam after the show, and then she would give me feedback on the show. And by the way, she was like, I was getting free coaching, right? I was getting this free coaching.
I charge you for that, Mike.
I was taking you to dinner. I was taking you to movies.
Not pay for my fees. Okay, let's get that straight. And the movie doesn't either. Come on, ladies. I know y'all like, no, he didn't.
Yes, I did. But you were getting dates. You were getting my company, honey. You're getting my company, right?
So this particular night.
So this particular night, she doesn't pick up the phone, right? And I'm like, oh man. I'm like, that's interesting. Like, I know she's not asleep. I don't think she's asleep.
Well, first of all, your show was late. I could have been asleep, but I wasn't asleep. And I saw you call, by the way.
Which I know now.
Yeah. I saw you call. And
She
I
just
didn't
decided not to pick up.
Yeah.
She's like, oh yeah, he's getting into too much of a routine.
It's too much routine. For us not to be connected, it was way too much routine.
I gotta throw him a curveball.
Sometimes, ladies, you gotta throw these men a curveball. They can't have full access to you. Okay? No.
Anyway, it woke me up a little bit because I was like,
You drove all the way home thinking like, what is she doing?
and here's the thing, we weren't in a committed relationship, right? We were dating.
Right.
And so I couldn't, it's not like I could be mad if another gentleman had taken her out on a date that night, right? So my mind was going everywhere. It's like, is she out? Is, man, she could be with somebody else and, he could be dropping her off. Like, I have no idea what's going on. Now, the cool thing is, I knew she was a good woman. And I knew that, wasn't nobody getting close to her real easily. So that gave me some peace and solace, right? But the fact that she could be out with somebody, right, and just not text, not call, was concerning to me. So I was like, I need to remedy this. I need to change that. So that next week, it was a Wednesday night.
If you like it, then you should have put a ring on.
I did. Anyway, we're 2 months in, okay? And so what I did is, that Wednesday, I took her to dinner. We had a good dinner downtown. And
it was Catch 35. I remember that place.
It was a seafood restaurant. Mm-hmm. And at the end of dinner, I asked her would she be my girlfriend. Right?
You were a little nervous. I didn't want to tell everybody, but you went to the bathroom, you came back. I'm like, is everything okay? Like, what's going on? Yeah,
you can't ask a woman to be with you, to be committed to you with spinach in your teeth. You gotta go make sure everything's looking right, that she could be like, not until you get the spinach out your teeth, brother. So I was like, okay, let me go get myself together. I came back and I asked her to be my girlfriend. And tell them what you did.
I didn't answer the question.
Now, my wife is an expert at not answering questions. It's a good thing I'm a coach and I ask questions for a living. Mm-hmm. And I know when people don't answer the question, because otherwise I would be distraught in this marriage because she does not answer questions.
What's crazy is that I really liked you at that time, but I was so afraid of commitment.
Why? Why were you afraid of commitment?
I still haven't distinguished it yet. I think it's just anything that's it was a new environment. It's change. It's
change.
It's
my wife doesn't like change.
It's like I would have to I don't know. It was just the whole thing about relationships. I was so used to being free. Just free like a bird.
Doing what you want to do.
Doing what I wanted to do.
So your interpretation of a relationship was that you wouldn't be able to do what you want to do anymore.
Yeah, that's true. But to be very clear, before we met, the day that we met, mm-hmm. I remember driving, because I used to live on the south side, coming around the ramp.
This is back to April, y'all, by the way.
This is back to April. I'm going to take y'all back just a little bit.
So we're going back.
The day that I met Linal, I remember driving, praying to God. Because, ladies, I don't know if you're single. Whoever's single out there, this is my story. Maybe you can, learn something from this. But I remember praying to God. I said, God, I don't need you to help me find a man. I don't need your help with that, right? And I know some of y'all are like, you told God what? Right, exactly. I'm like, God, I don't need your help finding a man. I'm good with that. I can do that on my own. What I do need your help with, God, is to help find me true love, true companionship. And I remember driving, coming around the ramp, just thinking, at that moment in my life, I was dating, but nobody really fulfilled me the way that, or gave me life, just kind of blessed me. Y'all know what I mean.
The way your husband does?
The way you do. So, for the most part, that same day I met Linal. Now, granted, Linal and I didn't connect, but when I began to put the dots together, because something big happened that day, I don't remember. That's how I know what day it was.
That was so I invited you.
No. That was Common's private movie screening.
That was so you made that prayer in September, or was it in April? I thought it was in April.
It was in April. Listen, I just got a 1-year-old. I don't remember. It was one of those dates.
So we met. So to kind of give some context.
I don't remember the date.
Pam and I met September the year before we started dating, and we still don't know who introduced us. Somebody walked up. We were at a movie premiere for Common, his movie Love, and somebody walked up and said to me and said, "There's somebody you should know," right? And so they brought me over to Pam. Now here's the thing, so everybody can kind of hear me out. This is me when I was coming out of my I was really trying to get coaching on commitment, my integrity with women, and all that, right? So when I walked in, I saw Pam. She was one of the first people I saw, and that day I brought a date. I brought a date to the movie premiere, and I remember, and typically I didn't take but I didn't take dates with me to certain things on purpose because, well, you know, the whole saying, don't bring sand to the beach. And as a single man, you kind of know that there'll be qualified women at these events, right? Especially a movie premiere. But I was showing off, right? And this particular woman was giving me a hard time. I'm going to show her. I'm going to invite her to this movie premiere, right? And as soon as I walked in, I saw Pam. Like, what have I done? And I remember I kept trying to angle to see her left hand because I'm like, is this woman married? Like, oh my goodness. And she had a ring on her left hand, but not the ring finger. So it was like from far away. It's like, is that the right finger? I couldn't tell. Then somebody walks up and says, I want to introduce you to somebody, and walks me right up to her, right? And so we exchanged pleasantries, exchanged business cards. And the next day I emailed her and said, we should connect for coffee so I can learn more about what you do. And she never emailed me back.
Instead, I called and left a message on your voicemail.
Not right away.
I did. Let me tell you something. You were a corporate executive, and in my business, we work with corporate executives, okay? So I left a message on your voicemail. Your assistant didn't.
Okay, yeah, that's
your
right.
assistant thought I was like somebody trying to just.
She thought she was a regular solicitor, and so I never got the voicemail.
I never got, yeah.
Right? It was kind of like, all right, SMG speakers. He's not hiring any speakers. She just never gave me the voicemail, right? Because she called my work phone, not the cell phone. Like, it was a cell phone line on there. She didn't call the cell phone. She called, and maybe you could talk about that for women entrepreneurs who are single, because you're really good at dodging advances.
Well, I've had so much craziness happen being a young female entrepreneur where gentlemen would try to take you out and you're thinking it's a meeting and they like try to mac you down the whole dinner. It's like, whoa, brother. Really? I'm trying to like get your business and, you know,
they're interested in that business.
They're not interested in that. So it was, at some point, it became hard for me to want to have, meetings with men because it was just so annoying to be with the guy and they're lustful in their eyes. And women, you got to pay attention to stuff like that, you know. So,
I'll say a little bit more about that. You can't just leave them out there with it. What does that mean?
I think you just have to have a sense of discernment. And I hate to say it this way, and I don't want the gentleman to get mad at me, but this is the only.
No, they can't get mad. I mean, if you're a brother, you have to not only speak with respect, show up with respect, but also look with respect.
Yeah.
So there's nothing to get mad at. It's something they should learn.
Yeah. Well, men are like, in a very nice way, man, please don't get this, but they're like dogs. They can sniff. Not all men. But in this example, they know how to. They can sniff what type of woman you are. They know if you have low self-esteem. They know if you're confident. They know if you're hard to get. They know if you're lazy. Like, men are very good at sniffing it out. And so what you want them to sniff is that you're a confident woman that don't play games.
True. And then, but now what she's saying is true.
Get what I got easy. Like, you got to work for this. And so a lot of times women don't know how to put that hard to get perfume on. Instead, they wearing
Easy.
You know, like, easy, come get me. I've been single too long. No.
I'm ready.
I'm ready. Come get this.
I think you it.
Right.
Right.
You know, back in the day, it was like the men have to hunt for that prey. Women are like, they getting on the plate, they putting their own sauce on. You know what I'm saying? They cutting themselves up like, now eat me. Right? It's
That's
just,
true.
it's
That's
not,
true.
that's not the way it should go. And I mean, some women may feel different, but this is just my experience of having been able to have integrity men and date men that are really good quality. And I met my husband, so yeah.
So, September, we miss each other completely.
Completely.
Right? Completely. And I get an email from her, this is like March, maybe?
It was in March, yes.
Maybe in March. I got an email from her that basically saw a blog I wrote. She was complimenting the blog. This is good.
It was business.
Yep.
It was business.
She was doing her business thing.
I knew you guys had a training summit, and I knew that you were the chief diversity officer at that time
Yep.
that ran that global work. And so I said, let me do research on him. I'm like, oh, he got a personal life where he writes blogs.
So let me tell you the power of intention here, okay? Because this is how Pam and I connected.
And this is how you create sales, for those of you that don't know.
See, there's a lot of little nuggets in the story. So my team, we're planning this diversity and inclusion summit. And I'm in there, we have the project manager and different parts of my team, and we're going through all the different moving parts of what we need to do to pull off a successful summit. And at one point, the project manager says, okay, somebody needs to take ownership of the speakers. Who's coming to speak at the summit? And I had just got this email from Pam, and I've been knowing, like, I'm attracted to this sister. I done looked her up. I read her Crane's article, like, who is this young, fine entrepreneur that's on top of her business? I just need to know her, right? I need to know she's, you know, what might you say, a quality candidate, right? A qualified candidate, right? To be Mrs. Harris. So anyway, I say, no, I got the speakers, right? And my team, they like, wait a second, that's the busy work, you know, boss, why are you taking the speakers? I said, don't worry about it. I got the speakers. I already know someone who I'm going to go to for our speakers, right? It's a black-owned business, and I'm going to go to this black-owned business for our speakers. Now, I had, you know, many agendas. One was to have great speakers for the summit, but also because I'm going to get to know Miss Pamela Redwood at the time, right? And it worked. It worked. But it wasn't easy.
No, it wasn't easy.
It wasn't easy. So fast forward, how we ended up going out in April when you said this prayer.
Yeah.
So you said the prayer.
I said the prayer. We met at
42 premiere.
42 premiere.
So the Jackie Robinson story, we met at the 42 premiere. It was a networking event that the company I was with sponsored, and I had an extra ticket, and so we were discussing contract details and negotiating the contract for these speakers. And I'm like, hey, I got this extra ticket. Now, mind you, I had an agenda. I'm like, I'm going to get her out. We going to meet. We going to have some conversation outside of this contract. Right? Oh, let me back up a little bit.
Oh, buddy.
Because, again, my wife is good at not answering questions. So the week before, we were on the phone discussing the contract, and somehow we got into some personal conversation, right? And we get into this personal conversation, and and I finally asked her, are you single? And she's like, so if you look at line 5.1, you'll see that.
Your business. I was thinking, like, what are you doing?
And I was like, hello? I just asked you a question. I just asked you a question. And she was like, excuse me? I'm like, I just asked if you were single. Yes, I'm single. So if you look at line 5, right? And I was like, yes.
Keeping it professional.
I'm like, I know now. I'm like, yeah, it's time to go all in. She's single and available. And and the cool thing is, she presented the chase. I mean, in a very classy way, right? Like,
because you know what, honestly, I wasn't interested in you at the beginning, right? Because I was professional.
I always have a problem with that.
You always have a problem with that. Because it was just business, baby. It was just business. It was just business. And I thought you were a really nice guy and I liked them, but it was business. Remember, I've trained myself not to see men.
Right.
Because if you're a client, I don't see you.
Okay.
But for some odd reason, you were able to penetrate that.
Thank the Lord. So let's fast forward. So that happened in April.
Yeah.
we had the networking event.
Yeah.
At the networking event, I made it very clear I liked you. So you knew at that point I liked you. And at the end of the event, I asked her if she would go to dinner with me. And she's like, well, it's late. It was like 8:30, 9 o'clock, going that late. But she's like, it's late. I need to get going. Maybe sometime later this week. And I was like, well, you let me know when you're available. Now, I was busy. And this is something important for women to understand, okay? When a man is ready to date you, when he wants to go out with you, even if he's busy, he's going to find some time. All right? So I was like, you just let me know when. I had a full calendar, but I was like, something going to get canceled. All right? You let me know when you had a time. So the next morning, she called me in my office and said, I'm open tonight. And I actually had a date. I had a date that night.
What did you do with that date?
Cancel. I canceled the date. I went out with Pam. We shut down the restaurant.
Yeah, we actually stayed in there and talked for like 3 hours.
For like 3 hours. Shut down the restaurant. And then...
We got some callers.
Oh, we do. We're going to take them in a second. We're going to take them, yeah. At the top of the hour, we're going to take... I see you, Maurice. Mama D. Good morning, Karen.
Hey, Mama D.
We're going to take the phone calls. You. And so then, it was after that, it was over. I mean, for me, I cut every woman I was dating at that point. I mean, after the first date with her, I was like... And here's one of the reasons why. Another good tidbit for women. Pam talked about having this energy about you, right? Where a man... Because men are hunters, we can sniff things, we can sniff it out. What I knew is that if she sensed any games, right? Any games that it was going to be over. Like I would get slotted in friend zone or colleague zone, acquaintance zone. I would not have the opportunity for, some type of, love, opportunity. I just knew it when I just sensed it on her. And so I was like, I can't give her any excuses.
Okay, so let me tell y'all this. This is so funny. I forgot to mention this in our story. So
Okay.
We were at the restaurant. We were at Sunda. I love that place. By the way, if you haven't went, it's very good. Try the Brussels sprout salad. We were at Sunda.
Free commercial.
Free commercial for Sunda.
We don't
Y'all
do
might
that
wanna
on the
put
radio.
me on
We
Sunda.
don't do that on the radio. Don't give out free commercials. Billy just got one.
So
You're welcome, Billy.
We're at
That's
the
all.
restaurant, and it's time for us to get ready to go. We order dessert, and so the waiter comes around. He's like, "Hey, would you guys like any tea or coffee?" And Linal's like, "Yes, I would like tea." Don't laugh. Linal says, "I would like tea. I drink." And I said, "Oh, you like tea?" He said, "Yes. When I lived in India, I used to drink tea after every meal. I drink tea after every meal." Let me tell y'all something. I ain't seen Linal drink no tea since, okay?
All right, so moment of
I'm like,
honesty.
what happened to your tea, baby? Where's your tea? I ain't seen you drink no tea since.
And then, here's what happened. I wanted to keep her there longer, and I needed a good excuse. So when they came around and said tea or coffee, I was like, well, I'm not gonna have no coffee, but I'll have some tea. And she was like, oh, you drink tea? And I was like, yes. And it's true that I started drinking tea in the evenings in India, but I stopped when I left India. But it just made an impressive story to tell the woman you're dating.
It did. And I was like, oh, you lived in India? And I fell for the like, you lived in India? And now I'm like, he ain't drank no tea since,
No need to. Now I can just say, we're going to stay here a little longer, baby.
So anyway, ladies, watch out for those tea.
All right, so let's finish the story before we go to the top of the hour.
Okay.
When we get back, I want to talk a little bit more about you and your career and what you're doing, and then some of the offers you have for people who are interested in taking their speaking careers to the next level. But we were going to the June story where I asked you to be my girlfriend.
Mm-hmm.
So that's what we were kind of wrapping ourselves all the way back around. We didn't plan on telling our story on the air this morning. That's interesting that happened, but it happened. So I asked her to be my girlfriend after we had that moment where I couldn't reach out to her. And she didn't answer the question. As you can see, she didn't answer questions throughout the entire experience, right? The whole dating process. I had to stay on her about my questions. Even now, I have to be like, honey, I just asked you a question. And so finally, after asking her multiple times, different ways, she said yes. And we became boyfriend and girlfriend. June, what day? It was like June something. I don't remember the actual date.
It was in June.
It was in June.
Yeah.
June 2013.
June is our month.
June is our month.
We had a baby in June.
Baby in June. A lot of special things
Got
happening
married
in
in
June.
June.
Married in June.
Yeah.
June 6th.
So that's our month.
It's our month. Yeah.
Yeah, and that's how we basically been together ever since.
Proposed 6 months later.
Wow.
In Paris,
Yeah.
December 21st. We'll have to tell them that story. We'll tell them that story at the end of the next hour because it's a funny story how that went down in Paris.
3 minutes.
Let's switch topics real
Okay.
quick, and then we're gonna get to the top of the hour. We got some phone calls. We got Maurice, we got Mama D, we got Karen who just called in. If you have questions, 773-591-1690. We talked about a lot. We've been all over the place in terms of this. Hopefully you guys are enjoying this. You get to know me, I guess, differently through my wife's eyes. So thank you for being here, babe. So we were talking about the struggle of entrepreneurs, the breakthrough that you had. When you had that breakthrough, and you, be quick because we gotta go to the top of the hour, take
Sure.
a break. But when you had that breakthrough, what did it change for you in business? This breakthrough that, wait a second, I'm a young entrepreneur, and I can bring my power to the work that I do and make an impact and be seen at the same time.
You know what? There was a new level of confidence, right? Because now I didn't mind going to networking events and telling people who I was and what I did. You know, I was able to own my power in such a way that tripled my income, essentially, right? Like, because when you do that, when you're able to own your power, there's no energy holding you back.
What do you mean by own your power?
You know, own who you are. Like, be your authentic self. Don't have any shame or negative chatter behind, you know, those thoughts that say, hey, you can't do this. Why are you telling people what you do? They're not gonna want to work with you because you're so young. Like, it's stupid. The negative chatter is so stupid. If you just stop to listen to it, like, you're like, this is so dumb.
But it can be so compelling and so enrolling.
It's so
So
real,
how does a
right?
person get past that?
You know,
Or how did you get past it?
you have to recognize that it's not true. You look at it and say, wait a minute,
got
I've
it.
accomplished X, Y, and Z. I'm at the table. I should have a seat at the table.
1 minute.
So look at the facts.
Look at the facts.
Got it.
This is a great place for us to pick back up
At the beginning of the next hour.
at the beginning of the next hour. So stay tuned, guys.
So how to step into, we're going to talk about how to step into your own power.
Mm-hmm.
And then we're going to talk about some of the things that Pam has established in her business. And I want to talk a little bit about how you helped my speaking career. Because she really, took my speaking career to the next level in terms of, I was speaking for free when I met.
Please don't remind me about that.
I was
Please
when
don't
I was speaking for free almost everywhere when I met Pam. And within a matter of months, she changed that. And I would say
Your first speaking engagement, you made $7,000.
over 7,000. It was almost
Yeah.
$8,000.
Yeah.
My first speaking engagement after working with her. So more to come with that. You've been listening to Inspirational Perspective. My name is Linal Harris. My co-host is Pam Harris, my lovely, beautiful wife. She's in the studio with me this morning. I'm excited to have her. And when we come back, we're going to talk about owning your power. We're going to take some questions, some phone calls, and then learn more about SMG Speakers and some of the offers that she has through iDevelopSpeakers.com and the work that my wife does to empower people. Thank you guys so much for listening. 1690 AM, the talk of Chicago. We'll be right back. All right, we're back. You're listening to Inspirational Perspective. I'm your host, Linal Harris, your very own life coach, right here on WVON 1690 AM, the talk of Chicago. Excited to have my wife in the studio this morning, co-hosting the show with me.
Good morning.
Let me tell you, we haven't gotten to the question. Like, we had the set of questions we were going to ask. It was, the show was going to have a certain theme, but we've been sharing our story, how we met, and having a lot of fun. And we had some phone calls. So let's take some phone calls real quick before we get into owning your power. Maurice, good morning. How are you?
But that's a whole other story. Good morning, Linal. Good morning, Pam.
Good morning.
God bless you both.
Thank you.
And if I may, let me say good morning to Mama D, who's waiting in the wings. That lady knows some stuff.
Yes, she does.
She's one of God's assets out here, so I look forward to hearing from her. But you talked about blessings early in the program. Let me talk about some people who've been blessed throughout history. Romeo had his Juliet. Martin had his Coretta.
That's true.
Malcolm had his Betty, and Nelson had his Winnie. Barack has his Michelle, and Linal got his Pam.
Ain't that right?
Amen. God said y'all are up for greatness, so y'all can go. The sky's the limit with you two guys. I'm really enjoying the show.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Maurice.
Yes, ma'am. I often like to quote Brother Hakeem Manabuti, who once said, "Ideas rule the world."
True.
You know Haki over at Third World Press. And I have an idea. I gave it to you at
Yes,
that
you did. Yes, you did.
event over. It's an idea that I feel would go a long way toward empowering our people economically. And that idea is simply one God, one people, one bank. Again, one God, one people, one bank. So that's my contribution this morning. And Mama D, if you would talk a little bit about why do you keep telling us we've been in this country 399 years? There's something to that. So thank you guys very much. Keep the faith and the money in the family.
Absolutely. Thank you for that, Maurice. Appreciate it,
All right.
brother. All right. And he shared that with me. He actually put it in a frame and then shared the frame with me. And I'll tell you, Maurice, every time I see it, your idea has me thinking. So it's kind of like, very one God, one people, one bank. It's the one, and it's the one bank piece, right? Because I think the concept, most of us are monotheistic, and we believe in one God. We might call them different names, but so that part of it is like, that's doable. One people, that's obvious. One bank, like what could that be like? So thank you for your ideas, brother, because you're right. When you say that ideas change the world. Mama D, good morning. How are you?
Oh, I was just waiting here, excitedly. Hallelujah, greetings.
Thank you.
Pam, you had on that cute little green dress and those big diamonds on your left hand, and your skin is flawless.
Oh, you're so sweet.
Well, you remind me of Beyonce.
Oh gosh, that's
Absolutely.
beautiful. Thank you.
Gorgeous. You've got good taste in wives, is all I can say.
And wives, he only has one.
Yeah,
Let's get that straight, Mama D. Don't get him excited.
Thank you.
I don't want to plant any seeds.
One is all I need.
One is all you need. That's right. If I was your woman, you would need another woman.
That's right.
We know all about that.
Right. We know that's
Absolutely.
Yeah.
One of Prophet MLK Jr.'s teachers, Dr. Benjamin Mays, he said something, and I don't know if this is the exact quote, but he said, everyone is given something unique and special to do, and if that person do not do it, it will never be done.
Yeah.
And one of the regrets of my life is Dr. Margaret Burroughs wanted to paint my portrait, and she always said that I should be a storyteller. However, I have flaws. Well, you hear me talking, so you know that. One of them that I recognize is I am kind of hoarse, and that's because I have nodules. I had nodules on my vocal cords, and one vocal is larger than the other one, and it sort of causes my voice to always be hoarse. But then that might be a good thing because people will remember it.
Yeah, I thought it was kind of pretty sexy if you asked me, Mama D. I like that voice.
Oh, well, thank you.
Yeah, and I'll tell you, from my perspective at least, you calling in and talking, I've never ever question your voice.
No.
Like it's just the voice of Mama D.
Well, I think that. And before I get to, can I please answer the question of my number one fan before I get to, well, I'll get to that hopefully. I say 399 years because I take the time from when blacks went on the stock market as a movable property thing called chattel.
Yeah.
And that was in 1619.
Yeah.
So do the math. 1619 to 2018 is 399 years. And we're coming up with this big 400th year anniversary that President Trump, I think it was in December or January, he put out a resolution or a bill or something on how to commemorate the 400th year anniversary of Native Black Americans being in the United States.
That's right.
So I know some people say we were here all the time and all kinds of things, but I'm just taking that historic marker as a movable property thing.
No.
And then
Agreed.
physically speaking, there's 400 years and in ships and in chains and all kinds of things that say that we are the lost tribe of Israel. So, but that's another story. Pam, you mentioned people doing the work, and we see one of the flaws that I know if I was taking your course, and I wish I could afford to take it, is see what I just did. And a lot of people do that when they're speaking. You know, they'll say and I know that could probably be corrected. But when you get something, get rid of something. Oh boy, I have a challenge with that.
Yeah.
Because when I buy something, I make excuses to hold on.
Oh, to the old.
Right. I'll say something like, well, when I lose weight, it'll fit. Or it might come back in style. But at the end of the day, I think I'm emotionally attached.
It may go deeper than that. Have you ever considered? And this is a place that I've begun playing in my own life. But one of the things that we do when we hold on to things is we don't believe in abundance. We don't necessarily believe that, hey, if I happen to need this, I'll be blessed enough to be able to go get it. And let go of the things that we aren't using right now, like actually be able to purge them from our lives, because we have the faith that when the opportunity arises, if I ever need this again, I'm blessed. I'll be able to go get it.
Right.
Absolutely. I
The not
never
enough
looked at
mentality.
it that way. And from now on, I'm going to, because and what that does also, and something that you've mentioned in your previous program, is that confidence. If you have the faith and the confidence,
Right.
it's like you said, you'll be able to take that risk. And in life, you've got to be able to, take a choice. In order to succeed, you've got to be willing to fail. And whatever it is, if you're not willing to take that chance,
Yes.
and so it does go deeper. But Pam, you mentioned people not wanting to do the work. And I was wondering, what work is it that they need to do? Because change is the only consistent thing in life. You change before you're born. You change after you die. But change is a process, and I think most people, at least myself, I resist change. And
well, Mama D, I would definitely say that you would have to take my course to know what work you have to put in.
Mama D, it's important, and it's important that everybody knows that this woman can sell.
So honestly, but there's work in anything that you do. So I know that you're like, what kind of work do you have to put in to be a speaker? It's such a broad industry that people, when we sit down and have conversations around what does it take to become a professional speaker, how can I be successful at it, how can I make six figures doing it, there's work, like from a brand perspective, from a marketing perspective, from a sales perspective, from a personal perspective. Like there's so much that goes into it. And I mean, I love giving people everything that I have when it comes to this conversation because of what I've learned from being in the industry for so long, working with meeting planners, working with corporate executives, what they look for, just helping people become that six-figure speaker.
I really appreciate that. I want to share something with you. My mother was a fifth grade scholar, and my father wrote his name with an X, and he was born in 1899.
Wow.
That wipes me out to even say that today.
Wow.
1899.
Right?
Yeah.
But I was in this store. Chattel slaves, descendants of crimes against humanity, we never was taught formal English. No one sat us down
That's true.
and gave us a course in how to speak correct English.
Oh, that was purposeful, by the way.
Yeah.
Yeah, very purposeful.
And saying things like over yonder and right now instead of right now. I was in a store, and this was 50 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
I wanted a cinnamon roll, and I said to the clerk, "I'd like a cinnamon roll."
Mm-hmm.
And she said, "What?" I said, "A cinnamon roll."
Mm-hmm.
And she kind of smiled, and then she said, "What?" Now I'm really getting upset. Cinnamon roll right there.
Right.
She said,
Right.
"Oh, you mean cinnamon
Mm-hmm.
roll."
Right.
And from that moment on, I tried to remember that your formative years, you can lock in things like right now. And one of my
This is true.
boyfriends, he just loved hearing me say, "When do you want me to come over?" I said, "Right now." He said, "What? Right now." It was years and years before I realized I was supposed to say right now.
Right.
Yeah, but he just loved to hear me say right now. So I just wanted to say in conclusion how much I appreciate your program and the enrichment that it has brought to me personally. And I'd love to go on the trip to Ghana. But when I checked out your price list, I said, I don't know if I want to go credit card on that one or not.
Well, you know what? We'll have one next year too. So I mean, if it's something you need to plan for, by all means, you can plan for it.
Yes,
Yeah.
and so as I said, your mom and now your wife, and as a retired Montessori educator, probably you'll have your son on too because he'll have plenty to say.
He already does. Well, if it was, if we could understand him, believe me, he would go. He has a lot to say.
Absolutely. So thank you, and just keep up the
Absolutely.
marvelous work.
Thank you so much, Mama D. Have a good day.
Thank you.
All right. One last phone call. Karen, good morning. How are you?
Well, good morning, King and Queen. I don't normally even listen to WBON on the weekend, but I happened to get in my car with the station on and just to hear a king and queen share their love experience is something that we're missing among ourselves. I got to take my hat off to your wife, because your wife became a woman, a little girl, and a lady, all wrapped up in one, because a man is a natural born hunter. A man has an imagination that must be used, and a man has an ego that must be stroked properly. And he gave you the cake. I'm a 56-year-old woman. I've never had a problem with a man loving me, because my mother taught me men like to hunt. So this conversation this morning between you and her, and you said that it was not planned for you all to tell your love story. But you know what? Across the airwaves, your love story is sending out the energy that is much needed among us. And this is the beginning of seeing a difference in our community. My favorite word is look out the front door, because the front door of the Black community is showing that we don't make love to each other anymore. And it's time to get back to love making. And I so appreciate you and your wife on the air making love to so many of us. Hey, you all enjoy your day. I love you. Keep doing what you're doing, and
Absolutely.
have a great day.
Thank you so much.
Wow. Thank you,
All right.
Karen.
Okay. All right. Great phone calls. Great phone calls. We got one more. Michelle, good morning. How are you?
Hey, you two lovebirds.
How you doing?
I'm doing awesome this morning. Got up just in time to catch The Herbs and that awesome show they did. And I want to also commend Mama D. Are we cousins, sweetheart? Well, listen, we're gonna look up next year, because I can't afford it this year either. But I'm going to pack everything The Herbs told me, because I may not come back.
Oh, how about that? Right. You gonna stay put in Ghana?
Well, you know, I'm going to be you all's liaison.
Oh, okay.
So when we start, you know, doing the Harriet Tubman thing, I'm just kidding. But I'm not. But I just wanted to call in and say, Pam, girl, you have come a long way, sweetheart. I am so excited to say, I remember when you first previewed your debut with Linal on the show many years ago.
Okay.
And we can hardly get you to say 2 words.
That's true. That's
It's
true.
true.
Yeah, that's true.
And it was it's so beautiful to see how you have really let go. It's something about motherhood that kicks you to the next
Woo,
level.
that's beautiful. You're on to something,
But not
Michelle.
only that, when I saw you in the studio before y'all got married, and we had that little private conversation, well, did you change your name yet? I think you did. It's now Harris. So welcome to the Harris family.
Okay.
I love you guys so much. Thank you so much, Linal, for
You're welcome.
and Pam.
You're welcome.
And
Wow.
Legend.
Yes,
for
and
coming
Legend.
on,
Thanks,
wearing
Michelle.
my favorite T-shirt. Y'all know that's my favorite shirt, especially when you had the Legend in the oven.
Oh yeah,
And y'all,
yeah.
that's the one, man. I want
Shell's
that
so
to
sweet.
be my T-shirt.
You can get one. You can get one.
No, it's got to have the one with her belly sticking out.
Oh.
You gotta cut it. You gotta cut it.
Mine got to be different. Come on, y'all.
Okay. We got crop tops and Murder Mediocrity T-shirts if you want to wear a crop top.
Well, no, I don't want a crop top. No, I want them to see Linal and Pam kissing with her baby.
Oh, okay, got it. You want that shirt?
On my shirt.
All right. Okay.
That's the one. Y'all got to do specialty ones for me, please.
Oh, wow.
Got it.
I love that. So listen, I'm looking for Pam. You gotta come on more. You got to. That ad was awesome. I got to hear it some more because I wasn't standing by with my pen and paper to write it down. And so please come back, Pam. Please.
Yes, ma'am. I
All
will,
right.
Michelle. Just for you, Michelle.
Thank you, dear. Thank you.
If he lets me back on, because you know I've been fooling today. So if he let me come back, I'll come back.
She can come back.
All right.
She can come back. All right.
We loved it. See you later. Thanks.
Awesome. All right.
Bye.
Okay. Well, great phone calls. Let's talk about owning your power, and then let's transition into how how you help people own their power on the stage. One of the things that I want to talk about is how Pam helped me, because I was a speaker. I've been speaking for years when I met Pam, and what I didn't understand was my value. And I think this is really important for people who do purpose-based work to hear. Because I was doing purpose-based work, and in a lot of ways, I feel like this is God's work, right? Like He's given me a gift of wisdom that I'm supposed to share. How can I charge somebody for it? And one of my favorites, his name is Brendan Burchard. He always talks about how it's important that you get paid so you can sustain your message, right? And I was thinking, like, as long as at the time I was in corporate America, so I was getting paid. But what I didn't realize is that eventually I would be leaving. And you helped set up in a lot of ways, set up the platform and the bridge in terms of speaking for me to leave, as that being a part of my revenue. But here's some of the things that Pam helped me. One, she helped me understand that it took me too long to get to the point. Right? She would say all the time, Linal, when you get there, it's really good, but you got to get to the point. You do a lot of preparing people and just jump in, trust that they can follow. And then the second thing that you taught me, I just had it. The second thing that you taught me that was really good, that now I continually use, it'll come back to me.
Share stories, talk about
Stories. Yup, you remember. She's like, tell more stories. People love stories. So those are things I know people will get from you if they work with you. But you have a workshop coming up. Mm-hmm. And I want to make sure that we spend some time talking about the workshop, because someone out there may be interested in working with you. They may be at a point in their career and speaking, or they may be someone who wants to emerge as a speaker. What will they get from you if they attend your workshop? And when is the workshop?
So the workshop is July 28th. You can go to iDevelopSpeakers.com to get more information about the workshop. The workshop is a full expression of myself, right? I'm a natural connector, Linal. I love connecting people to opportunities. So much so, like, it just, it's just something that some people can relate to. There's something about you that you just love doing. It just gives you life. Like, you're like, I love doing this. So for me, I love connecting people to opportunities. The workshop is really focused on me. I'm so full. Like, as being a new mom, it's taught me so much about love and commitment and life. And this workshop, I'm bringing it with a different energy. I'm bringing it with a different amount of power this year as I'm doing it. And I'm really focused on helping people make six-figure speaking. So people reach out to me all the time and they say, hey, Pam, I want to become a speaker. How do I do it? How do I make money doing it? Are there any speaking engagements out there? This workshop will focus on how to make six-figure speaking. Now, I've been getting emails and calls saying, are you focusing on presentation skills? Are you focusing on helping me hone my skill set? No, that is not my focus. This focus in this particular workshop is how to make money speaking.
So basically, they need to come to the table with speaking skills already.
No, you can be an emerging speaker, because I'm going to cover some things that you should have to become a six-figure speaker. So if you're an emerging speaker, or you don't even speak, but you're thinking about becoming a speaker, this workshop can be for you. There's one lady called the office the other day. She said, you know what, Pam? I think I should practice my presentation skills first. Okay. But there's no way to put fire under your feet to know how much money you can make as a speaker and how to get started doing it.
So what you're saying is build the vision. I say this all the time too. Create the vision.
Create the vision.
And my Slay Your Goals members, this is what we've been talking about in our last 2 phone calls, the importance of vision. So create the vision and then go do the work. We're aligned.
Yeah, because she's like, I want to join Toastmasters. I want to do this. I want to do that. I'm like, you can totally do all those things still and come to the workshop and get some powerful nuggets. I mean, I'm dropping stuff that I've never given before. And the reason why is because I see a need in our community to see our voices be heard.
Got it.
There's, if you're listening to this message right now and you like, I have a message that needs to be heard. I have a story that I think will impact people's lives. Then you probably are the person that want to be in the workshop. What are you waiting for? Like, don't be afraid to speak. Like, I remember, my thing is, I meet a lot of people who are afraid to speak in front of audiences, right?
Right.
And these are some powerful players. I mean, I meet with executives. I've coached individuals to get on the TEDx stage. I've worked with national brands, and it all boils down to making sure you're connected to yourself and connected to the audience.
Yeah. Connected to yourself and connected to the audience.
Which we talked about claiming your power. Literally, you gotta know you're powerful in order for you to even be that on stage.
So if I want to register, where do I go?
You go to iDevelopSpeakers.com to register. And I got something special for those people that register. It's a if you sign up for our mailing list, I would teach you how to land a TEDx talk. For those of you that don't know, a TEDx talk is very popular for people that want to be speakers. It allows you to showcase your message on a viral level, right? So I put together a PDF for you to learn steps on how to land a TEDx talk, which is amazing. Free, right? This is for free. This is for free.
So and they can go get this for free on the website.
On the website
at iDevelopSpeakers.com.
On iDevelopSpeakers.com, and the workshop is going to be amazing. I'm so excited, y'all. I'm going to this is going to be so much fun. This is going to be so much fun. And listen, I keep my workshops intimate because I like to work with people. I'm hands-on, and I want to make sure everybody walks out with custom information for themselves. I don't have that many seats left because people are already registering. I think I only have maybe 5 or 6 seats left. So
you only got 5 seats left?
Only 5 or 6 seats left. So God bless those who can register and get those seats today, because I know I'm going to be on Perry's small show later this week talking about it. But I may have to have a part 2.
So you're doing your media rounds right now. Am I first? I'm first, right?
Yes.
This is what it took for me to get my wife on the show. How about that? She wouldn't just come. She's like, I gotta have.
I can kill 2 birds with 1 stone.
Okay, I got it. All right, we're gonna have you back. We're gonna have you back real soon.
Oh, new mom.
He's 13 months now.
He is. He's 13.
Yeah, this week, 13 months. Yeah, this week he'll be 13 months. All right, so let's talk about owning your power, because that's one of the things that at the top of the hour we were talking about. You talked about the importance of owning your power. I began to ask you questions about that, but we had to go to break. So I want to step back into that because I think it's relevant for anything that someone wants to do, whether it's a speaker. Mm-hmm. I mean, they can come to your workshop, mm-hmm. they can get all the tools, mm-hmm. and they can become a 6-figure speaker, mm-hmm. but they'll never hit the full potential of what they can earn if they don't own their power.
Yeah.
Same thing, and I think in every aspect of life, whether you're a speaker or not, whether you're an entrepreneur. You talked about when you really stepped into owning your power, I saw
a clear vision of myself.
You tripled your income.
Yeah. I saw who I was. Literally, I'm like, oh my God, I'm a powerful being. Mm-hmm. Like when I'm able to sit down with trailblazers and nationally recognized leaders, to be in town and say, hey Pam, I want to have lunch with you. I used to get these emails and be like, why do they want to have lunch with me? What do they want from me? These are high level executives.
So
I want to have lunch.
Not really stepping into owning your power.
Not stepping owning my power. And I used to try to downplay it. Well, I'm busy this week, right?
Mm-hmm. But because you were afraid.
Because I was afraid.
Afraid of what?
I think that's the thing. People have to get clear on what their fear is. You're afraid. What are you afraid of? Because you're not. Sometimes you're I'm afraid to do X, Y, and Z. Well, what is that fear? Really keep digging to know.
The fear.
Distinguish what that fear is.
So what did you distinguish? What got you over the hump when you realized you distinguished some of it earlier, where you said, mm-hmm. I was afraid that someone would pay me and not experience a return on investment because they wouldn't do the work.
Yeah.
And then what does that make me look like?
That makes me feel like I was a failure. I didn't do my job.
Or that you're a fraud.
Yeah, that I'm a fraud, right? Yeah. And so I realized that I've been to workshops before and the speaker was amazing and I didn't do the work. That has nothing to do with the speaker. That is all you.
Right.
We have to take ownership of, what we bring to people, and it's up to them to take it to the next level.
Got it.
I can only plant the seed.
So you're a speaker coach. You've gone through ontological coach training. And like me, you retain a coach that you work with 4 times a month.
Yes.
Very much like me.
Mm-hmm.
Why do you have a coach, and what is the main thing that you get from coaching?
Oh my goodness. I absolutely, if there's anything you guys cannot take away from this conversation today, I would say go out and get a coach. Go out and get a coach. People take it lightly that coaching it's just something that people help you with your life. No, I mean, it's so much deeper than that. If you're looking to make powerful moves in the future and in your life, period, then you want to have a coach. You need someone. Think about the famous athletes. You look at LeBron James, Michael Jordan. They all had a coach.
Yep. Michael Jordan had Tim Groves.
Oprah Winfrey.
Yep.
She had 5 coaches.
Yep.
Tony Robbins has a coach. Anybody that's successful, what do they have? They have a coach. Why do they have a coach? Because they know they can't handle life by themselves. Like, it's somebody there that's able to see and have altitude on their life and say, you could be doing bigger. You could be doing better. Like, helping you get reflections of yourself so that you can choose powerfully. So that you can choose in a way that helps you fulfill your goals.
So what do you get? Like, I'm curious, what is it that you get from coaching? Like if you had personally, like what do you get from coaching?
Coaching
and how has it changed your business, transformed your life? Coaching
has transformed my marriage.
How?
Wow, you want me to go how? You want to do
Why not?
So, you know what? I'm going to be honest with you guys. So I was a professional for so many years, and I was used to me being single, me being able to just be free. And marriage is 2 people coming together and literally becoming one. 2 people coming together and literally becoming one, right? I'm saying that twice for a reason. So that was hard for me. And you begin to see things about yourself when you're married in a relationship that you did not know was there. Like, stuff started coming out from childhood. I'm like, oh my God, I got some issues. Like, you don't really realize this till you get married, right? And then you get pregnant and have a child, right? It's just, coaching gives me the opportunity to really be reflective of who I'm being in my relationship, the attitude that I'm bringing, the lens that I'm bringing, how I'm looking at my husband. Am I looking at my husband in a way that is empowering our marriage, or am I looking at things that he's doing wrong all the time? Because if you're looking for things he's doing wrong all the time, guess what? You're going to find them. And it could be simple stuff from putting the toilet seat down. Like, I keep telling this man to put that toilet seat down. Or, the cereal box. Close the cereal box. Don't leave it open because the cereal can get stale. These are real life examples, ladies.
She's not lying. It's okay. I'm flawed. What can I say?
But it's those simple things. And when you think about how blessed I am overall for the man that I have to be like looking about those little things, it's like, girl, bad. There's women out here got way bigger issues than that, and I'm tripping about a toilet seat. Come on. But I had to shift my lens. So coaching helped me to shift my lens to see my husband in a way that I'm like, dang, I'm blessed. I'm blessed to have a man that is a provider, that is a visionary, that has a commitment to personal development, and that helps people live the best life possible. Like, Linal is just not an individual that says he's doing this stuff and then doesn't do it. You guys, he sleeps, breathes, and eats it so much so that it's almost nerve-wracking. I'm like, do you really got to be that committed? No, seriously. Do you really got to be that committed? But it also teaches me that, you got to put the work in to get to where you want to go in life, right? So that on that aspect of marriage, that's what it taught me. In my business, it just kind of showed me who I was being in my business. Coaching helps you distinguish your, awareness about yourself that you probably have never noticed before, because you're so much on autopilot. You do these things automatic all the time, and you don't even realize that though the impact of what you're doing and how it's showing up, the ripple effects, how it's showing up later, and in your marriage, and with your son, or with your work.
So give us a work example. Give us a work example of something you distinguished in your business as a result of coaching.
I'll just use this example that I had around fear of me claiming my power.
Okay.
So when I began to distinguish that I had this story about myself that wasn't true, the story that, I'm too young to be in business, that I can't be powerful young in business, and that who would people think about me when they meet me, this young black girl, and she has access to all this stuff, like, what would people think, right? I began to really get deep, and, coaching helped me distinguish, listen, that's just a really bad story you have about yourself. This story is limiting your power so much so that it's ultimately holding you back from your full potential in creating deals and meeting in people relationships. Because think about it, when people call me and they want to have lunch with me or dinner and I avoid them, what opportunities are being missed?
And let me bring color to it, because Pam, she is connected to some very powerful people, and so she'll mention, maybe she'll come home and say, so and so wanted to have lunch with me, and I say so and so, I'm talking about celebrities, and and I'm like, you going? She's like, I don't know. I'm like, what do you mean you don't know? What's going on? Like, you gotta go. You have to go to this. But she was struggling with her own stuff. And in coaching, we call it enough, not enough. Like, am I enough? Like, can I provide enough? Will I be seen as a fraud? And so many of us are working through those type of things mentally. And what I hear you saying is that coaching helps you distinguish your stories and interpretations from the facts of who you are and what you provide in the world, and really helps you step into your power.
Yes, that's perfectly said, baby.
Cool. And it's the reason why I believe in coaching too, because I could go through the same thing for me. It shows up differently. Like, all of us have different challenges, right? So somebody might be listening saying, that's crazy. If a celebrity wants to meet me, I'm there. Right. That's nuts. Right. Well, okay, what's your stuff? Because we all have it. So where are you stopping in your life? Mama D mentioned change. Yeah. And change is difficult. Difficult for most of us, because as human beings.
Another thing somebody mentioned, a couple callers said, you know what, I don't have the money. We have to stop allowing money to dictate our decisions. Yeah. I can't. I don't have the money. Stop saying that, because now money's controlling the way you operate.
Well, it's your words too.
It's your words.
And we have to be careful what we say, because with your mouth you say, I don't have the money, you actually perpetuate more of the same. Because
it's the belief.
And we're creators. Right? Yeah. And this is one of the reasons why affirmations are so powerful, because if you wake up every morning and say, I'm happy and grateful that I have an abundance and all that I need is available to me, right? It sounds, altruistic and fluffy. But by saying that, you begin to send something completely different out into your world that gives you the ability to actually create that. Because we are creators. That's the whole Identity series was really around the power of that we have as creators.
It's the same thing with speaking, right? People come to me and say, hey, there are no speaking opportunities. There's no speaking. And that's their lens. That's what they see the world as. They go around thinking there are no speaking opportunities. Guess what? They're not going to find any, because you have that lens of there's no speaking opportunities when there are over 12 million events happening around the world all the time.
7 billion people on the planet. 12 million events annually.
So
people need speakers.
I'm curious why you're not finding any speaking events.
Yeah, got it. So we had some questions. We got about 10 minutes left. I have some questions for my wife. I want to get to some of them. I already asked that question. Now this is the problem with your wife being in the studio with you, because I've never had a guest point at the list and start to read the list and tell me what not to ask. I've never had that happen before.
I'll be answering that
today. Biggest life lessons. Tell us some of your biggest life lessons.
Okay, when I was in college, I did an internship with the FBI, and I was around these amazing individuals, these young people from around the world that were they were different. They were different from me. I'm a little girl from the south side of Chicago. They had very limited exposure to what I can say, if I can, is greatness. These young people were owning real estate. They were owning their own businesses. They were intelligent on such a level that you would sit there and be like, how can you do this at your young age? Right. This Linal planted a seed in me, and I was like, okay. When I got back to Chicago, I said, I'm about to get this party started.
So your internship was where?
With the FBI in Washington, D.C.
Okay. So you had to leave home.
I had to leave home and go have roommates and live with people.
Did you initially want to do this?
You know what? I was in a beauty shop one day, and this lady said, you'll be perfect to do an internship at the FBI, because, I'm a chatter. I love talking and meeting people. And
which is true. My wife will chat down a cashier.
Anyone. Well, most of the opportunities that I've been able to get has been because of me talking to people, because people they're not used to people talking to them.
That's true.
They're not used to people being interesting, right? So she gave me this. We talked about an internship, and I was like, what do I look like going to the FBI? Like, I am way too like personable for these serious people. So much so that when I got the opportunity, my chief in my department told me, he wrote me a letter. He said, you brought so much joy and personality to this unit. We're not used to operating in that place. Thank you for being your authentic self.
Nice. So you made a needed shift, even in the FBI, by bringing your full self.
By bringing my full self. But that FBI experience allowed me to have exposure to young people that were killers. This is why it's so important for you to place your children and exposing them to opportunities outside of themselves. Maybe it's a trip to Africa. Maybe it's taking them to visit college campuses. Maybe it's teaching them to drive around a rich neighborhood and look at beautiful homes. Whatever it is, I believe that you should have exposure. Exposure literally shifts the way you operate.
True.
So that was one of the biggest life lessons for me as a young person. I think the other one was when I worked with my boss before I became an entrepreneur. He was a master negotiator. His name is Mark Watts, and y'all can go Google him. I love him. And he was known for negotiating some serious deals. So he ended up hiring me as his personal assistant.
How old were you when this happened?
I'm not good with, as you know, I'm not good with numbers of years. So let's not. I was young.
So you started your company at 24. So you had to be what, 20, 21?
Yeah.
Okay.
Or something. Yeah. About 19, 20. Mm-hmm.
Okay.
So I started working with him really young, and he hired me as a personal assistant. And when he brought me in, I realized I knew nothing about the journalism industry. Nothing.
So this is in journalism.
This was in journalism because
Okay.
he was an agent. He negotiated deals for journalists to help them increase.
So news anchors.
News anchors.
Got it. Got it. Negotiated a few big deals here in Chicago.
Oh my goodness. His deals were like, people all over the world would call him and say, hey, could you negotiate these deals for me? And so when he took me in as an intern, I was like, he took me everywhere. Like, he liked me. One of the things he did was he tested me out before he hired me. He would ask me questions about my old boss to see if I would answer. And you know I don't answer questions if I feel like it's not right. I know how to I know how to like deviate really well. And so he said, you know what?
This is an important point.
Yeah.
Right here. Many of us miss opportunities because we're not operating with character or aligned with our own personal integrity everywhere. And I think that's a really good point, because you met Mark before he hired you in a completely different capacity. And every time he engaged with you, he would ask you questions about your old boss. And you never gossiped. You never told him what he wanted to know. You either redirected him or didn't answer the questions. And because of that, he knew he could trust you, and he hired you.
He hired me, and immediately he took me under his wing and took me to every personal meeting that he had, from banking meetings to meeting with celebrities and wealthy people. This is kind of how I kind of got into the industry, right? Because he showed me where the bones were bare. Like, he just literally gave me full access.
And here's the funny thing. When I started dating Pam, I would come back, like maybe we'd be at a restaurant, I'd go to the bathroom, I'd come back, and she'd be texting somebody. She'd be like, give me 1 second. I'm texting, and it'd be like names like Layla Ali, and I'm like, and then she'd like kind of go back to dinner like everything was normal. And I was like, what Layla say? I'm like, okay, that's not normal. Like, not everybody, is texting, celebrities, but this is a world you get exposed to very early.
Very early on.
Yeah.
And so he took me and he took me under his wing and showed me his world. And what I will say, one of the lessons I learned was to, document. He was a master negotiator. So by the time I got into the position where I had to negotiate deals, oh baby, I was ready.
And she's a good negotiator.
He taught me how to be strategic, how to sell, and how to negotiate deals. And walk away when both parties are happy. Not to make anybody feel they didn't get something valuable. Right. But both people are like, wow, that was a good deal.
Cool. All right, I got one last question. We got about 6 minutes left.
I have a caller.
Oh yeah, sell. I'm gonna get to. So let me ask this question, and we'll get to sell. What has motherhood taught you? Because I had the opportunity. I've had the opportunity to talk about what I've learned about fatherhood, and then I'm always posting on social media my fatherhood chronicles. Those of you who follow me.
Motherhood. Wow.
But we don't hear from you often. What has motherhood taught you?
It's funny because before my son was born, I wrote a letter to him of all the things that he taught me just during the pregnancy process.
Okay.
And so legend has taught me one thing is commitment. Commitment on a whole nother level. Because when you're pregnant, like, it don't matter how you feel. You still have to push this through.
Yeah.
And it's crazy because in the middle of the night when you got to use the restroom, I don't feel like getting out the bed for your feelings. Who cares about your feelings? Go use the bathroom. Like, you
Right,
could,
you got to.
even
Yeah.
if you weren't hungry and you just feel like you just ate, but you're starving because you have to feed this baby. It's like, but I just ate. Your feelings are out the door. And it taught me in business, like, forget those feelings. You got to be able to just push through and get things done when you need to get them done. So that was one thing. Another thing taught me is love. That little boy, y'all, I love my son so much. I love Legend with everything in me. It's a love I have never experienced. Motherhood is the most precious thing. I mean,
I got to back her up. I'm like, look, I'm his daddy.
That's my baby.
I got him.
That's my baby.
Back up.
So what it literally taught me is that God blessed me with this experience to be able to feel this type of love, which I've never experienced before. And it made me get more connected to God, because I said, if I can experience love like this, then how does God love me? This is a strong kind of love, because we're like God's babies. You know that, right?
Right.
So I'm like, God loves me this way? That's overwhelming, because I know the way I love my baby. So it also taught me that, I mean, among other things, it also taught me about legacy, right? Like, I want Legend to have to work hard to, beat my legacy.
Got it.
I mean, I have to leave a legacy where he's like, dang, my parents were killers. I got to figure out how to make this do what it do,
Right.
So that's...
Legacy.
Yeah.
Legacy, yeah. Huge. Good stuff. Well, let's take a phone call. Sel, good morning. How are you? Sel?
Good morning. You all prepare Legend to be a leader for his 4 or 5 siblings.
Oh, come on, Sel, now. Gee. Hang up on Sel, y'all. Hang up. Hang up the phone. He's playing games.
I call about fear.
Okay.
And the voice. I stammered as a child.
Okay.
I cut my first deal with God when I was 12. My first real deal, in which I asked him to help me to talk, because I had discovered girls, and the words just would not come out.
I understand, brother.
Well, I think he worked with me some. I believe my speech changed. I changed as a spirit. One, I started treating my sisters much, much better. Not totally good, but much, much better than I was. And you were talking about the voice. Well, it's not just tone. A good example of that is I cite Reverend Clay Evans. His voice, you would never think that he would end up being a public speaker the way he is, but it's the voice, it's the substance, the countenance of his voice. And it's not just the tone that has made the difference. He's not a Barry White. He wasn't I shouldn't say wasn't, but he's not a Barry White or Luther Vandross. But his singing compels you to listen to him, particularly so.
That's true.
When I heard him sing, if it hadn't been for the Lord on our side, where would we be? And I heard a minister / lawyer sitting in for Roland Martin, maybe 4 or 5 years ago, and she said that it is impossible for fear and gratitude to occupy the same space.
I love that. I love that. Well, Sel, we got to go. That's a great way to end. It's impossible.
Can I give a shout out to Mark?
Yes, you can.
Hey, thanks so much for the comment. Mark Watts just commented on Facebook. Hey, Mark, I love you and miss you.
And it's impossible for fear and gratitude to occupy the same space. Impossible for fear and love to occupy the same space. Thank you for being here.
No,
Love.
Thanks for having me. This has been such a great conversation.
Where can people go again?
They can go to iDevelopSpeakers.com or SMGSpeakers.com. Either one of those work. If you're interested in becoming a speaker, sign up for the workshop. It's going to be amazing. Look forward to seeing you there.
Awesome.
Thank you so much, babe, for having me on.
You're welcome. You've been listening to Linal Harris, Inspirational Perspective. Be sure to tune in again next week. where we talk about how to murder mediocrity and live the best life possible. Right here on WBON 1690 AM, the talk of Chicago. Have a great Sunday, everyone. God bless you.
You want to do this?
Control your mind, control your world.